Dan Dickau here, Gonzaga Nation SI, the Gonzaga Nation Media Network. This spring we're taking a deep dive on the Gonzaga roster, both through podcast videos as well as through articles by our great journalists on staff. We've already broken down the backcourt with Nolan Hickman's returning, as well as the addition of Ryan Nembhard, and then talked about the question of, is Malachi Smith going to be back as well as the departure of Dom Harris and the expired eligibility of Regier Bolton. Today, we're going to focus a little bit on the front court, mostly the bigs. We'll do another one where we talk about wings later on. But when you look at Gonzaga's front court, they lost the best player in recent college basketball history, and that would be Gonzaga's all-time leading scorer, Drew Timme. Averaged 21 a game last season, over 7 rebounds, while he became just an absolute star for the ages at Gonzaga. It's kind of one of those things where, to replace him is going to be unbelievably difficult because of all the things that he did, but it's also going to be a fun challenge for this coaching staff. Gonzaga played in such a way over the last couple of years that really accentuate his strengths. And I'm not saying it took away from other guys' opportunities, but when you've got such a good player on the interior, you take advantage and you make the most of it. I think Gonzaga did, but it's going to open up some opportunities for some other guys leading forward. But Drew Timme's gone. Efton Reed, who transferred in from LSU, who transferred out once again in the transfer portal, ended up at Wake Forest alongside Hunter Salas. But he didn't make the impact that many, myself included, were hoping and thought that he would have. Only 25 games a season ago, about 2 points a game. So not a lot of, shock that he moved on. The questions now become, does Anton Watson return? He's currently preparing for NBA draft workouts. He will compete at the NBA G League Combine in Chicago in the middle of May and see what type of NBA feedback that he gets, because he has another year of eligibility where he could come back and work on some of the holes of his game to give him a chance to play at the next level. But average over 11 a game, 6 rebounds a game a season ago, over 61% from the field. Just looking at his game, he's shown tremendous growth over the last few years. But it's fun when you look at, hey, where was he good? Where was he best at? Where can he get better? Well, defensively, he's been as good of defensive player who's got versatility as you can imagine over the last couple of years. I mean, he could guard 1 through 5. He could rebound. He had a tremendous feel for the game as far as spacing and passing for a big. And he showed the ability to put the ball on the deck a little bit and score in transition, as well as, when they closed out hard, take advantage, 1 dribble pull-ups, 1 dribble float game. So he's shown that. But I think for him to have success at the NBA level is he's got to show the ability to make shots from the 3-point line. Only shot at about 34% on the season with limited attempts. But if he could prove and show that his mechanics in his jump shot will give you thought that he will be a good shooter down the road, I think he becomes really enticing for NBA teams as a kind of 3-and-D type guy with good size, athleticism, with a great understanding and IQ of the game. But that's going to be interesting to see if he comes back or not. Abe Eagle, Colby Brooks, 2 walk-ons, had some opportunities to play minutes a season ago. Not sure if they'll be in the rotation next year. But when you look at what the rotation is going to be and what it could possibly be, you look at 3 guys. Ben Gregg. I thought Ben Gregg had a really nice year a season ago where he showed some really good flashes. He's tough. He doesn't back down from a challenge. He's skilled. Shot at over 38% from the 3-point line. I think that's going to get better with even more of a defined role and even more of an opportunity to play lengthy minutes. So I think he's got a big opportunity in front of him. Graham Ike, the transfer from Wyoming. I think Gonzaga fans are really going to be pleased with this addition. A left-handed, low post interior scorer, averaged over 19 points, 9 rebounds at Wyoming 2 seasons ago while he was all Mountain West Conference, was the preseason player of the year last year, but got hurt early before games began, so he missed all of last season, but he can score on the low block. He can play out of elbow actions. He can play in pick and rolls, dive or pop because he understands spacing. He's good guarding pick and rolls. He's good guarding on the interior, 6'9", 6'10", with about a 7'4" wingspan. Not the most vertical athlete, but he uses his length and uses his IQ really well to impact things on the defensive end of the floor. I think Gonzaga may have gotten the steal in the transfer portal because had he played last season, he probably would be moving on to the NBA if he were healthy, or giving it a full shot at the NBA. Obviously, coming off an injury like he did last year, he wasn't going to put his name in the portal. But those two for sure are going to get big minutes. Another player who should get an opportunity next year, a freshman who redshirted this past season out of Chicago, where he was the Gatorade State Player of the Year in the state of Illinois, Braden Huff. 6'10", 6'11". When I was at practice, seemed to have gotten better throughout the course of the year. He's got a good feel for the game. He's got good touch around the rim. The reports are that he was really buying into the weight room work and really becoming a solid player by the end of the year in practice. So they've got high hopes for him. But I think part of what is going to be happening here at Gonzaga in the next short bit is waiting to see if Anton Watson is returning, as well as seeing what opportunities are still out there in the transfer portal. As of now, we record this on Monday, May 8th. There's a couple days left in the transfer portal for players to put their name in. But I think a big piece is waiting to see what Anton Watson is doing. And some of the bigger names that are in the transfer portal, I would imagine, are probably also holding off to see if players go back to their schools, similar to what Anton Watson is doing. But a name that keeps popping up that I think would be a tremendous addition for Gonzaga is Grant Nelson from North Dakota State, an unbelievably talented big at about 6'11", pretty fluid athlete, can shoot it, can put the ball on the deck. In the Summit League, he would have been the player of the year last year if it were not for Max Asmus, who averaged about 23, 24 points a game. But Grant Nelson, I think, would be a great addition if Gonzaga is still looking for one more front court player in that transfer portal. So there you go. There's a little bit of my outlook for the front court of Gonzaga. So for Gonzaga Nation SI, thanks for listening.